hit notification button, and of course give us a thumbs up. So we really do appreciate your support. So good afternoon and welcome. I'm going to talk to you about this because often, for too long in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole, we don't tend to look at the wider implication of reports that are released. I don't think many people are familiar with what I'm about to show you. This was a report warning of an active U.S. world depopulation agenda, as stated in a declassified report, National Security Study Memorandum 200, compiled by the late Henry Kissinger in 1974. It was only declassified on the 7th of March 89. Let us see what happens. I do share this broadcast if you can, to help us grow the platform. I don't know what is going on with Facebook of late. It seems as though when we go live with over 100,000 followers, our broadcast has no reach whatsoever. So we are trying to really address that. So I'm hoping that many people will join us. You are watching Susan Why, the platform where we speak truth to power. I want to first of all say that as things stand, Nigeria is not working, and I know it's going to be difficult to be able to connect what I'm doing now with what is happening in Nigeria, but that's exactly what I need you to do, to be able to begin to see the connection between the policies that are happening, the political actions going on in Nigeria, and connecting it to the global policies adopted by the so-called superpowers in making sure that their agenda is carried out. This report, like I said, is called the National Security Study Memorandum, NSSM 200, released back in 7th of March 89, 14 or 15 years after it was initially planned and drafted and written and put into action by President Nixon, and no doubt followed through by Henry Ford, his successor, and successive governments have done that. The reason why I'm pointing this out is that many of us in Nigeria, when you hear this, you think it doesn't concern me. What's this report got to do with me? Or in Africa, what's this got to do with me? It's got nothing to do with me. It's a report that was written in the U.S. by the U.S. president about the ideas and the visions of how to control the world population. But if you look in the report, this is the thing that you need to bring to your attention. If you look in the report itself, you will begin to understand the need for us as Africans to take cognizance of what is being done there, and we have to make sure that our people are aware, and it should inform who we are trading with on our continent. If people who we are trading it have this kind of intention and agenda, are they the kind of people we want to trade with? Shouldn't we be trading among ourselves? So let's go and dig a little deeper. So we will read this a bit. So that's the report there, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about it. So I'll read the one here first. So the basic thesis of the memorandum was that population growth in the least developed countries, LDCs, is a concern to U.S. national security because it would tend to risk civil unrest and political instability in countries that had a high potential for economic development. Now, what they're saying there doesn't make sense. How can development and the growth cause instability? Well, we will look at that a bit more detail. It says here, the policy gives paramount importance to population control measures and the promotion of contraception among 13 populous countries to control rapid growth, which the U.S. deems inimical to the socio-political and economic growth of these countries and to national interest of the United States, since the U.S. will require large and increasingly, let me go and get that for you in a bit more fuller way. I'm going to put it here. So let me see, 1 second, please. 1 second again. Yeah. Just give me a minute. I will get that back. One sec. Just give me a second, please. Give me a second. I'll just find that information for you because I have a second part of it which I wanted to show you. That's better. I think this is it. I was trying to get that ready, but I didn't realize I had it there. So one second. Where are we going? We're going in here. We're going in there. Here. Okay, this is it. Okay, so we got it here now. We'll come up in a minute. We'll continue and then we'll get and read the layers because I need you to understand that. So, there you go. Here's one I made earlier. Austin Peters, good evening. David Bassi, good evening. Robert Daniel, good evening to you. Aeon The Price, thank you. Tayo Rejobi, thank you. Emilit Emenu, welcome. I do call you Sakirat, welcome on board. The broadcast is going to be likely in English. As you see, it's on Citizenwide, the platform where we speak truth to power. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. How do you do that? Let us quickly show you, and a quick reminder. Go ahead and subscribe to Citizenwide on YouTube. Hit the notification button and of course give us the thumbs up. Today of course is the 25th of January 2024. I'll just make a little change and adjustment to the figure or the date that you see on the screen. So I want to apologize for that. Quickly make a change to that. I just picked that up as I was going along. So there, hey, presto, it's done. 25th of January 2024. So now, you see there's more people who are watching me, but it's only showing me one. So I don't know what's happening with Facebook. That's fine. We will do what we can. Now, so, like we were saying, the policy gives paramount importance to population control measures and the promotion of contraception among 13 populous countries to control rapid growth, which the US deems inimical to the socio-political and economic growth of these countries and to national interests of the United States, since the US economy will require large and increasing amounts of minerals from abroad. And the countries can produce destabilizing opposition forces against the US. This report was compiled in 1974, December 10, 1974, by Henry Kissinger. And it was only declassified on the 7th of March, 1989. So, you need to understand that what they're talking about now is that they want to protect the access of the US to mineral resources around the world. Look at the words here and we'll see if you can find that word for you. It says the US economy will require large and increasing amounts of minerals from abroad. So that means the global south, including Africa, is where they'll be looking to source those minerals. And they want to continue to have access to it. And the best way they see deem fit is to pursue an agenda of depopulation. What does that mean? Perhaps many of us don't understand, and that's where we're trying to really understand. For us as lay people to understand what the policy of depopulation looks like and what is its likely impact on us, particularly in Africa. The whole of Africa is heavily is in the crosshairs of this plan. And that's the reality. And it may have been declassified all the way back in 1989, but I'm letting us know it is still active. And in fact, it is being fast-tracked, if you like. So, let's go on. In summary, the National Security Study Memorandum, National Security Study Memorandum 200 provides 4 main objectives. Population growth of foreign nations provides more geopolitical power and possible opposition to the US interest. So they see the growth of southern nations as a threat to the US interest. So you need to be understanding this. And many African countries tend to view America in the view of other people who we have the same interest. We want to do business with them. Well, you can see this report is showing you the other side, that is the hidden hand, as it were, that is actually having a different agenda to what you would think is the case, So, and that is what we are trying to iron out. Please do share this broadcast. Ojo Alex Amenze, welcome. Awuyemi Rianat, welcome on board. Fena Eze, welcome on board. David Lawrence, welcome on board. Austin Peter, my brother, welcome on board. So please do share. Please, as you're watching, don't forget to subscribe to ZNY on YouTube. We're not streaming right now on YouTube, but we will stream it later on. But it's really important to really emphasize that we, as Africans, whatever our government are doing, we need to start watching this, what this kind of reports are actually doing to not only Nigeria, but the whole of Africa as a whole. And it's impacting our people on ground in Africa as we speak. And we need to really expose this among ourselves. Now's not the time to bury our heads in the sand. We need to raise the level of awareness about what is being done. And there are steps that we can take to counter this. The best thing we can do is raising and sharing information among our communities so people are aware. So that when they are aware that this is the plan, if something new is coming into the community, they know where the source is and they know the steps to take to counteract it. Because right now, many of us, and this is why I am so insistent on us taking our minds and our brain out of the churches and the mosque. Because whilst you are in the churches and the mosque, this kind of report that is actually going to depopulate the continent is going around, and there is being enacted upon, and often many of our so-called presidents in African countries are nothing more than puppets of these globalists who have an agenda which is to oppress and suppress and deny the very people to whom the resources belong, Africans, access to those resources to improve their own lives. And that is what we are really here to talk about. And I hope this makes some sense. Okay, so let's go forward. So I'll read this section again. In summary, the National Security Social Study Memorandum, National Security Study Memorandum 200 provides four main observations. Population growth of foreign nations provide more geopolitical power and possible opposition to U.S. interests. So the growth of people in their own economy, the U.S. see that as a threat. The U.S. you need to understand, the U.S. as a nation sees the growth of Africans and the population growth of Africans on the African continent as a threat to its interests. Well, what about the African interests? Doesn't that count? What is that? What about that? You know, that is what we are. I'm hoping that by doing programs like this, we can begin to understand. Please do share this podcast. What about our interests? I fully understand that the U.S. is looking out for their interest. Now, if they were to be making plans from within the U.S. borders to ensure that the interest is top priority and everything else, and they were doing that in the U.S. borders, then that won't be a problem. They have the right, they have the mandate, they have the elections, all of that process gives them that right. But what right does the U.S. have in actually interfering in the population growth of other countries? And what does that say about this democracy they're talking about? So it's a controlled democracy. It is not a true democracy. I hope you're beginning to understand the inroads that this is making into this lie that they call democracy. Many African countries have the appearance of democracy, but they're not. They are puppet nations imposed on Africa by the colonials. And the actions of the U.S. in talking about depopulation of places like Africa is a colonial agenda. And that is what we need to really bring forward and explain. It is not here to get angry about. We need to process this data dispassionately, assess it, and begin to disseminate it in our own communities to make sure we understand the impact of what is already happening. Don't forget, this was declassified in 89, 99, 09, 19. We're now in 24, right? So that is 34 years past when they declassified this report. In the meantime, we all know very well that there has been a continuous talk about depopulation. Many of the so-called experts and the areas and then all the know-it-alls and all that, they come out and talk about the population. And when they talk about the population, they zone in on Africa. That's the reality. That's what we need to begin to understand. They zone in on Africa. We need to wake our people up. And we can and must do something about this. On the African continent, we have a right to life. We have a right to decent quality of life. We have a right to enjoy the resources afforded us beneath our feet. All of this is being truncated by two key religions, and I state that categorically. The two religions are of Christianity and Islam, occupying the minds of the people, making them believe in lies, pie in the sky that will never happen, whilst the resources beneath their feet are being carted away in the middle of the night by the same globalists who have this agenda of depopulation of Africa. So we need to really understand what is going on as Africans. That is what I'm here to try and hopefully raise the awareness about. We need, if you are not aware of something, you cannot prepare for it. And anything that you're trying to do, praying, you can pray. Your prayers are meaningless. Those who are planning all of this depopulation, they're not waiting on prayers. They're not on their knees. Oh God, make it happen. Allah, make it happen. They are taking concrete steps to ensure that Africa is depopulated. There is no prayer in their lips. It is action to carry out what they want, affecting Africans on African soil, not on their soil. Key difference. You need to understand that as Africans, and I think we need to begin to really speak about this in a very, very clear, dispassionate terms. And I re-emphasize that this kind of information is not often discussed, over and over. If it means that we have to replay and talk about this kind of discussions in our communities 200 to 300, 1,000 times, then so be it, because that is how important this message is. Now, so it says here, the United States relies on countries being underdeveloped in order to easily obtain natural resources. You understand, man? You understand that? High birth rate results with more younger individuals who oppose established governments. So already now, the population of young Africans, they know already that when the young are standing, they will stand up for their rights. Can you see the agenda? Can you see the agenda here? I will go and read a bit more. I'll be flipping between the reports and you will see the report in detail. I'm just trying to show you. So now, high birth rate results with younger individuals who oppose established governments. There, American businesses are vulnerable to interference by foreign governments that are required to provide for growing populations. So now, the US government has now made itself priority above the countries who have these resources. They made themselves a top priority. So their needs must be met first. You see what I'm saying? So now, sorry about that. So just listen to those words again. Listen to the words. I want you to understand, please, those of you watching. Please type on Abbas Taufik. Thank you very much. Collins Phillips, welcome on board. You're watching Citizen Network, the platform where we speak truth to power. Don't forget to subscribe to Citizen Network, hit the notification button, and of course give us thumbs up. Help us grow the platform. Go to Citizen Network on YouTube and subscribe. Hit the notification button and give us thumbs up. And please, we welcome stars as well. You can give us stars because we're doing a lot of research to bring a lot of information to us. Please do not, at this point, those of you, all of us Nigerians, I need you to understand that Nigeria is not working, and we have to begin to participate in the process of governance. We have to participate in the process of governance because we are mandated under the Constitution to do so. We have powers of sovereignty that we can use to hold our governance to account. The only way to change that Constitution is to participate in that process, to drive and instruct those we elect into office to carry out a referendum so everybody can go their separate way. So I hope that is clear enough. That is what we need to do. There is no other means in which we can achieve having independence. But all of that, underpinning the actions and the policies of the government, is what I'm telling you now about this depopulation agenda that was in the report that was written by Henry Kissinger on the 10th of December 1974. And it is still active. Even though they say it's declassified, it is still part of the process that they're doing based on the amount of activities that you see in terms of this aid. We do have to begin to be wary of anything called aid from these countries when they come into Africa, because it has double meaning. Aid for who? Is it aid to themselves, to the detriment of the people that are giving aid to, so that they become more dependent? And what is in those things that you're eating? So, we need to ask those questions. I'm just asking questions. I'm not, I'm asking questions. Now, so it talks about American businesses are vulnerable to interference by foreign governments that require and provide for growing population. So they don't want Africans to use our resources to provide for our growing population. Is that not interference in the very democracy that they so much espouse? Is that not interference? What does it sound like to you? Don't take my word for it. As you're hearing the words, I want you to be using your brain. You see, the church and the Bible, they don't want you to use your brain. They want you to listen to the story and never think outside the story. They need you to be inside that book, never take your mind out, never be able to use your thinking faculty to be able to solve your own problems. We are on this earth to solve our problems ourselves. We have the mind, a mind. Every single mind has the capability to solve infinite problems. What the Bible and the Quran, specifically on the African continent, has done is to reduce our people, our thinking faculty, and we need to put a stop to that. They are there designed to keep our people occupied, literally in those books, so that this agenda of cutting off African resources on the cheap can continue. It is not sustainable. We need to wake up. The growing population, thankfully, they are beginning to take action, and they will do so. But we need to bring this to your attention. That's all we're saying. Okay. So now, it says here, it recommends that the U.S. influence national leaders. Can you see? They influence national leaders. So when you influence national African leaders, what does that mean? When U.S. is protecting its U.S. interest in U.S., I understand that. But when U.S. is now trying to influence another government in Africa to forget the interest of the people and focus on what the U.S. wants. So when they are trying to influence national leaders, what is the implication of that influence on African leaders? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. What is the implication of the words that you're hearing on the screen? We're trying to break this down so you understand what is going on. The minute an African leader is being influenced by the US, it means the US is after the resources of that nation. I hope you can read in between the lines. That's what we're trying to really explain in this. They are after the resources of those nations. And we need to wake our people up to be aware of that. And this goes deeper than any of our political governance across all nations in Africa. We need to understand that this underpins whoever is elected, they will have to contend with the fact of the influence from the US. So that means already, if they have any issue they're trying to solve on ground with their with the people on ground, the US influencing them takes them, focusing them on what US wants, ignoring and abandoning the people that they swore on oath to serve and protect under each of those democracies in Africa. Are you following what I'm saying? Is this making sense? Is this making some kind of sense? So these are the kind of things that we're trying to highlight. Perry Dubo, thank you very much. Nike Oluyemisi Akikbelu, welcome on board. You see, what we need to do, please, we welcome stars. Bonaji Boboye. I think Adoniade, thank you, welcome on board, thank you very much. So, you see, that word there, the influence national leaders. Let me see if I can make that smaller. I don't want you to miss that out. I'm going to just do this quickly. I'm going to go into specifics about it. And I need you to see this particularly, and I will maybe make it bigger at some point. So let me do this now. I think you can. Let me do something to that. 1 second. Do let me know if you've seen it, and I'm just trying to fit in as much of it as possible so that you can see the information that I have and you can share it. It's very, very important that we share this information. Adol Uba, thank you. Ezekiel John, Femi, thank you very much. Now, I need you to look at what I'm just showing you here. So it recommends the influence that U.S. leadership influenced national leaders, and that improved worldwide support for population-related efforts should be sought through increased emphasis on mass media and other population education motivation programs by the UN, USIA, and USAID. So they have bodies set up designed to make sure that the minds of those leaders are occupied in the U.S. interest, to fulfill the U.S. interest, to the detriment of their own people. This is what is being done. I hope you understand. And we need to explain this to ourselves in very, very clear terms, as I am attempting to do here. So, here is what I really need you to pay attention. It says named countries. Named countries. Let me go here again. A second. So move it up. I want to see. So 13 countries were named. 13 countries, yeah? 13 countries are named in the report as particularly problematic with the U.S. security interest. It talks about India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, Turkey, and Nigeria. You see that? I highlighted that to make sure you understand. Egypt, Ethiopia, Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil. These are countries projected to create 47% of all world population growth. Now you can see why they're saying Nigeria is one of the most populous nations, going to be one of the most populous nations, heading to 300 million population by the end of the century or something like that. Now, please, when they talk about population control, here is where the nitty-gritty lies. They want access to your resources, to the exclusion of the people to whom the resources belong in Africa. That is the reality of what we face. And many of us have not been aware of this. So that's what we're trying to bring to your attention. Now let's go into detail a bit more about this. Let's go into a little bit more detail and look at this now. This is a report. I'm going to do this here. Here we go. Okay. So this is the confidential report in its entirety. Yes. So you can have access to it. It's online. So you can just type in the NSSM 200 and it will literally come up in Wikipedia and various other forms that you can read this yourself. So let us go and look at specific areas. So, and it says confidential. So this is something they wanted to keep, on the wraps to prevent people from really knowing what is really going on. And you need to understand that when they use flowery language, they are hiding something. They are hiding something. And that is what you need to understand. So when they say, oh yes, we're looking at population and they're trying to make it beneficial for them and encourage contraception, what they're really saying is that they are giving going to give medicines and food that would actually ensure that there is ultimately their goal that meets their criteria for their goal, which is depopulation of said countries, including Nigeria, as you heard in that report earlier on. Okay, so now I'm trying to look at something else here. So UN estimates that 3.6 billion population in 1970 as a base. There are nearly 4 billion now. The project from about 6 billion to 8 billion people for the year 2000, and the US medium estimates 6.4 billion. The US medium projections show a world population of 12 billion by 2075, which implies a five-fold increase in the South Asia and Latin Americans, and a 7-fold increase in Africa. You see that? I'm going to highlight it as I go along. I want you to understand. So they know that this, and that's what's happening in Africa, is the fastest growing and has the most populous and most youths in the age range up to about 25. So that fact is borne out. Now, what we need to understand is, with that fact being borne out, it means that the US will be pursuing the policy of depopulation using various means, food, what I don't know. You can begin to picture that. I don't want to go into too much detail, but you can understand what that entails. And many of us, when we have to be wary in Africa about anything to do with food aid, I think we need to be, particularly where the we are not being allowed, when they're actively ensuring that Africans and in terms African psyches become a dependency culture, unable to fend for itself in their eyes, in their narrative, in their own narrative. You see what I'm saying? So compared to Dublin in Asia and 40% increase in the presently developed countries. Most demographers, including UN US population, regard range of 10 to 13 billion as the most likely level of world population stability, even with intensive effort at fertility control. So you see that word fertility control. You see, what does that word fertility control? What does it mean? Remember, I talked about mineral resources. If what the US policy is, if you do not allow those countries to flourish and grow, then the access to those resources in those countries is not interrupted. That is the plan of the US. That is what we are trying to really begin to explain, and I do hope many on this broadcast will really understand the seriousness of what we're saying. It's not a joke. It's not that we're just coming here to just talk nonsense. These are actual facts, and you can download this report yourself. So you can see, when you hear population control, it is fertility control. They're talking about depopulation, and that means that they will have to interfere in various means: birth control, food, the kind of food, that the kind of diseases, whatever, to flourish, to prevent growth of the African population. As like I said, one of the 13 countries, Nigeria is one of them. I think Ethiopia is another one. And I think one or two others in there as well. Very, very important to really understand this. This is the plan, and we need to. What are we going to do about it in our communities? And many of us who are going from from Nigeria to US, you don't even know half of what I'm telling you. So this is the plan that they have in place, and it's still active, even though it has been declassified. A lot of their policies up to date is still based on this declassified report. Now, so growing population, adequacy of world food supplies. Growing population will have serious impact on the need for food, especially in poorest, fastest, least developing countries. See, they keep talking about least developed countries, but those countries are full of mineral resources. Case in point, Nigeria, over 40 mineral resources. So when they're showing interest, they're poor, but the resources is what they're after. They don't want the people to be able to use those resources for themselves. That is the policy that is being written in. That's why I talk about the language. When they use the language, it's often multi-layered, and you don't read between the lines. And I'm hoping that by doing what we're doing, we can begin to read between the lines to understand the plan here. So let us read a little bit more. So, least developed countries, while under normal weather conditions, assuming food production growth in line with recent trends, total world agricultural production could expand faster than population. There will nevertheless be serious problems in food distribution and financing, making strategies even at today's poor nutrition levels, probably in many of the larger, more populous, least developed country regions. Why are they so fixated? Why don't they just focus on the US? Why don't they just leave Africa? Before the colonials came, we fed ourselves. We had kingdoms. Before all of this, we had kingdoms that they existed for eons. We have history in Africa of kingdoms that has been for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years, and viable kingdoms. Mansa Musa, for example, from Mali, that they talk about today. That was a kingdom. People lived in. They were wealthy. They survived. So we do not need, Africa does not need its hand to be held by any colonials. This is the kind of thing we need to talk about. And that is why the dangers, you see, this Bible and the Quran thing, they are putting in the minds of our people the idea that we need help, we need support, and the best people that can give it to us are the people who are bringing this Bible and the Quran, and they are all lies. And these are the kind of things that we need to really, I hope you are seeing the link between religion and impoverishment. There is a direct link, because when you deliberately weaken the mind of Africans and put in place so conditions that will prevent African farmers to go to the farm because of threats to their lives by bandits and terrorists and everything else, who are often funded by this same colonials. Then they say, oh, Africa is poor. You know, that's the reality of what we face. The instability in Africa is fueled by this agenda. And having, if you, how is it that US has over 600 to 900 US bases in Africa? I'm asking questions. We should ask these questions. We should be encouraging ourselves to have this kind of discussions, because this report is if we understand its ramifications as Africans, we will be teaching this in every community to wake us up. Now, let me just go into, I'm not going to read through it all. You can read it yourself. Mineral fuel, I'm trying to read key areas if you like. So you see what they do here. This is a ruse. This is a ruse. They start talking about adverse economic factors which generally result from rapid population growth may include reduced family savings and domestic investment. That's all a lie. That's a lie. A straight lie. What has caused impoverishment is when the fact that Africa is not allowed to grow. Africa has 65% of the fertile land in the entire world. But yet, Africa is having to import food. That is because the conditions in which it will be stable enough for our farmers to grow and flourish is being interrupted by guns often funded in clandestine manner by foreign powers, to ensure that the areas where there are mineral resources is clear of people, so they don't have any interference in their extraction of resources that belongs to Africans. These are the realities of what we're saying. We're not saying this as hate or anything, but I'm trying to bring this to your attention. So again, they talk about now intensification of severe unemployment and underemployment. Increased need for large amounts of foreign exchange for food imports. Well, if we let Africans, if you don't have, like I said, Africa has over 600 to 900 bases. Majority of those bases are US based, and the others are either UK or France or Germany, having bases in Africa. These are the kind of things that we are faced with, and we need to address as people. And that's what I'm really hoping, that having discussions like this among ourselves. I'm going to come and back again and do this this broadcast, and I'll probably go into specifics later on again. The object, of course, is to raise awareness about this planned depopulation that is staring us in the face, and it may already be in existence. Who knows? But the reports are there. It's not me saying it. It's a declassified report. You can have access to it. It is all over the net. It is something we need to be aware of. This is more important than your Bible or your Quran, because this is about the threat to the lives of the people on the African continent who don't even know anything about this report. The best way we can help them is to raise awareness about this kind of plan, and at least they can have the chance to begin to ensure and know it is more important that we now provide conditions on the African continent where our farmers can farm uninterrupted, devoid of terrorists carrying guns. That is what we need to do. So I hope this makes sense. Ebo Ogbemudia, thank you very much. Johnny Dre, thank you. Tony Tampranke, thank you very much. So now it talks about again severe unemployment. Well, the fact of the matter is that the resources and the fact of extraction of African resources at dirt cheap prices. In the Congo, for example, there are planes that are taking off in the middle of the night with a landing strip in the jungle, where many of these Western countries, UK, France, US, take planes to take away precious metal, lithium, diamond, all of those precious metals, cobalt, all of these things, and fly it out of night, gold, paying nothing for it. Literally daylight robbery from Africans. And yet they put in all of these things to ensure that Africans do not interact. Why is it that Africans cannot have our Africa free trade zone? Why can't we have that among Africans? Why not? If Europe can have the Europe Free Trade Zone, or US can have the Free Trade Zone, why is it that Africa has to be the one that has to have its doors open, allow others, prevent us from actually having integrated system to ensure that our people get what is rightfully theirs in terms of benefits from the mineral resources beneath their feet? These are the kind of discussions we should be having. There was a discussion yesterday where PayPal, apparently, you can send money to Nigeria via PayPal, but you can't send money out of Nigeria via PayPal. And that system is designed to control and ensure that our people do not have access to funds that they can use to actually do myriad of businesses and improve things. It has ramifications. The financial structure is another issue which I will go and talk about later on. And we'll focus on this report for now. But anyway, let's crack on a little bit. It talks about, again, 1 second, I just want to make sure. Sorry about that. So I hope this is making sense. Additional, thank you. We need to have a comprehensive rethink about what is going on. So the need for large expenditure of services and dependency support, such as dependency support. So you see, if you call a nation that is being primed to become a dependency support, is a nation where they want to make sure that nothing functions, so they can take some crumbs from what they've stolen from that nation and give them as, oh, we're giving aid. It's all for show. And we need to really understand and read between the lines. That's why I'm saying, I'm highlighting it so you can read between the lines. When they're saying one thing, what they are really saying is they want to make sure that that nation is dependent on the US for aid, so they can come in. And that is yet more reason they will stay there and continue to take the resources. And that is why they want to influence the leaders of those nations to think about solutions for US problems, allowing mineral resources to leave the nation and ignoring the very people that they promised under the so-called fake democracy to serve. In many African countries, it's coming out to be that case. Then the other one, concentration of development resources on increasing food production to ensure survival of a larger population rather than improving living conditions for smaller total numbers. You see, all of that is back to front. What they really want to do is what I said before, depopulation. Remember, let me show you that thing again, just so we are clear. Is it that one? No, go for the next one. It talks about, but I want to get you specifics really. If I may, let me actually go into this for you here for a second. I want you to read here. Listen to the words here. What page is this one? 1 second, I want to just check what page is that one. Okay, page 1. Okay, let me see if I can see a better page 1 here. 1 second, please. No, here. Okay, let's have a look at page 1. 1 minute, please. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to make sure that you got the information there. So again, that's the report there, so you can see it yourself. Take a screenshot of this. I'll give you a minute or two. You can take a screenshot of the report yourself. It is there, the dates, the times. So the reason I'm showing you that is because I don't want you to think that I'm making this up. This is not something I'm making up. No, this is a national security study memorandum, NSS 200. And it's got the name, the Kissinger report. It is all there. So you have it, the White House. So and then the release date of the declassified release on 7/3/89 under provisions of EO 12356 F. Grabowski National Security Council. So you see the foundations. I hope this is making sense. So anyway, let's go forward. I'm going to try and read something to you in that area. Let me see. I want to make sure I get that right. Just give me a minute, please. I can't see it on here, but I will read it on here in any case. Let me read it on here. That one. Sorry about that. Give me a minute, please. I'm trying to roll it back a little bit. Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to read it on there, but I might go into report later on, but I want to read it on here for you to really get a sense of what why it's very, very important. It talks about as a result of the NSSM 200 was drafted primarily by Philander Claxton and concluded that the global population control was necessary to protect U.S. and military interests. So in other countries, the U.S. has its own bases protecting U.S. interests. What about those countries? Who's protecting the interests of those countries against the likes of U.S. and others who are clearly exploiting, many of the African countries? Who's doing that? That is why we talk about the need for us to have the United African Free Trade Center, something like that. United African Banking intercountry banking system, things like that, that we are going to be in control of in our continent. Because the fastest way we can improve the lives of our people is through trade. Free trade among Africans across Africa. That doesn't happen. One African country cannot go and trade with another African country without first getting the say-so from the colonials. Go and look it up. That's exactly what I'm telling you. These are things that many of us are unaware of. Let me just see if this works. So we're trying to just give you as much information as possible, because what is going on here is not something that it is truly, it's shocking to see that this is what's going on. Please, you're welcome to give us welcome stars and things, and to help us with the platform. Facebook are really making things very difficult, but nonetheless we will bring this information out, and of course we will stream it later on YouTube. So let us read this to give you a better understanding. As a result of the NSSM 200 was drafted primarily by Philander Claxton and concluded that global population control was necessary to protect U.S. and military interests. The plan was created to avoid appearance of economic or racial imperialism. Look at that. I needed you to listen to those words. If they're trying to write the report to appear as not, what does that say to you? They're trying to hide something. And that is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to, Abiodun, Makinde, welcome back again. We're trying to raise the level of awareness in our community. These are what we face, including Nigeria. I've mentioned 13 countries. Nigeria is in there. Egypt is in there. Ethiopia is in there. These are with populations. And they want to ensure that the population trend is downwards in those African countries. And that is the reality that we need to collectively work to and deal with. Not this Bible and the Bible and the Quran. The people who give this Bible, they don't care about what's in the Bible. They're telling you this will happen, but they are taking actions that does not care about the consequences of whatever they do in that Bible, which means that Bible is used to cover and close your minds as Africans. You need to wake up, reconnect back to your ancestors. Yes, Ekwensu and Eshu and the others, many others. We have every right to be proud of them, and nobody has the right to label African ancestral belief systems as satanic. It is not. There's not the same thing at all, and we try to explain that as often as possible during our broadcast also. Okay, so now you can see here the plan was created to avoid an appearance of economic imperialism and not be seen as industrialized country policy to keep their strength down and reserve resources for use by rich countries with a written goal of fertility reduction and not improvement on the lives of the people, despite instructing organizers to emphasize development and improvement in quality of life of the poor, later explaining such projects were primarily for other reasons. So I hope you're beginning to get a picture here. We need to be very, very aware as Africans that those who are coming to say, oh yeah, we want you to follow this, they don't care about our communities. They don't. If they cared, this kind of thing will not be something that would even be discussed. To avoid the appearance of economic or racial prejudice. Indeed, the entire system, like I said, all the way from Christianity, is cloaked in this racist thinking. Even the church, so we can go into that later on. Let me read a little bit more here. So I said the plan was created to avoid an appearance of economic racial imperialism and not be seen as an individualized country policy to keep their strength and show down and other reserves for use by the rich countries, with the written goal of fertility reduction and not improvement in the lives of people, despite instructions organized to emphasize this area of emphasize development in the improvement and in the quality of life of the poor. Later explaining such projects were primarily for other reasons. So you can see there's trickery, there's deception, there's trickery and deception in what is going on, and that's what we're trying to bring to your attention. That we need to wake up. That this agenda that they're putting up here, that I'm going to put up, it is real. We cannot ignore it. We must ensure that we challenge them at every step of the way, because we have the power to do so. The days of cowering in the corner for one person because of what they're wearing and because they are colonial, those days are gone in Africa now, and Africans are waking up. We have to question them, and the puppets must be questioned as well. That is the reality. So let me just check something, please. So the basis of the theory of the thesis of memorandum was what was known was that population growth in least developed countries, later LDC, is a concern. Is a concern to the U.S. national security because it will tend to risk civilian unrest, the political instabilities in countries that had a high potential for economic development. You see, they know that we have a potential for high economic development, but the interference is what is really holding us back. And our ancestral, our leaders, our former leaders, many of them, they should be ashamed of where we are today. It's not only of their own doing, but we need to really highlight this. And the only way we can stop this is begin to be part of that process and make sure we drive that change whereby there's equity and not this appearance, this false, flimsy, we're doing anti-racism and everything else just because tokenism. Yes, tokenism. So let me just see if I can show you one more thing. So the national security social 1 second please. I'm having a problem with that at the minute. 1 second. National security study memorandum. Yes. So the point is that they are asking, in summary, for main observations, population growth in foreign nations provides more geopolitical power and possible oppositions to U.S. interests. United States relies on countries being underdeveloped in order to pay easily to obtain natural resources. High birth rates will result in more younger individuals who oppose established government. But they should, because the governance has not worked for the people. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I just wanted to just touch on that. So you have the report there. It's called, let's see what the report is called. National Security Study Memorandum 200. You can read it in its entirety. What's left for to say now is to say thank you very much. You've been watching this now at the platform where we speak to the power. I'll be back later on. But please do be aware. Share this to family and friends. Let me just check one more thing before I go to make sure I've got everything in there so that I can carry on. She's and actually come back later on and carry on and doing the work that we need to do. But for now, I want to thank you all so very much. There's one more thing. Let me check if I can find that. There is something I wanted to show you, but I don't think I can see it now. I will come back later on. But in the meantime, thank you so very much. You've been watching this now at the platform where we speak to the power. The best way you can help us is to share, subscribe, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up. Don't forget, we would like you to. This would really make your day if you could. Sorry about that. So subscribe to Zenai, hit the notification button, and of course give us thumbs up. Thank you so very much for watching. Let's continue to speak truth to power. Each one teach one. We have to raise the level of awareness. There are a lot of changes that will come and manifest. But anyway, that's for our time. For now, what I want us all to do is to be vigilant and aware and tell our families back home. The bag of rice that you're getting from foreign countries is not done out of benevolence or goodness of heart. There is an agenda for those things. Sadly to say, that is being borne out by the actions of one or two that you will see they're talking about, and we have to put a stop to it. So what's left for me to say now is to say thank you so very much. You've been watching Cisnewire, the platform where we speak truth to power. What I'd like you to do is to please share this broadcast. Thank you so very much. We'll come back with further updates. In the meantime, this is of course the Kissinger report. Let me just make sure I put that there. A second. No, I'll leave it. I'll come back later. Okay. We'll read from there on anyway. So for now, I want to thank you also very much. I know Facebook has been playing about with the numbers. That's why it's down, but we'll try and do this on a regular basis as much as we can, and then take it from there. In the meantime, I want to thank you so very much. You've been watching Cisnewire, the platform where we speak truth to power. So subscribe, hit the notification button, of course, share content, and of course help us grow the platform. Thank you so very much. Bye for now.